what Christ means to you is very important. Because for some people, it just becomes a historical fact. Yes, he died. I know he died, and I'm thankful for it. And you tell children, yeah, he died. But you never tell him, yes, he died, and he saved me because I'm a sinner. Tell that to your children, and they get amazed. You, Dad, you! My daughter said, you're the pastor. Yeah, but I'm a sinner as well. But Dad, you've been to church all your life. Yeah, but I need Jesus every day in my life. That's why I go to church all my life. See, just as the Passover was commemorated every year, we commemorate the Lord's death every time we take communion. We don't repeat the Lord's death. Romans 6:10, as well Hebrews 7:27, and so on. And 1 Peter 3:18 tells us that the Lord was given once and for all. His death will never be repeated. But the effects of the death, we rejoice in them. We enjoy them because we're saved, are we? We're saved through the sacrifice of Christ. The redemption of God comes through Jesus and Jesus alone, and no one else. But just as they were having this Passover in a hurry because they were going to leave, as the story I was telling you at the beginning, you're living in a hurry. They were looking, God was making them looking forward. See, when you get out of this land, you're supposed to commemorate this. You're supposed to tell your children. And this is an ordinance for all the generations. Just like us, we commemorate this till when? Till the Lord comes again. We commemorate Lord's Supper till He comes again. But verse 29 and 30 gives us the flip side of those who don't want to listen to the Lord. At midnight, the Lord struck down all the firstborn in Egypt. From the firstborn of Pharaoh who sat on the throne, to the firstborn of the prisoner who was in the dungeon, and the firstborn of all the livestock as well. Pharaoh and all his officials and all the Egyptians got up during the night, and there was loud wailing in Egypt, for there was not a house without someone dead. Just imagine that. And I remind myself of places of war. Places like Burma, Cambodia, where there's not many families who were not touched by death. And how those people wail and how those people suffer. Because those were lives that didn't have to die. And how important was for these parents, Egyptian parents. You hear in the 10 plagues that some of them yield to what Moses was saying. You know, if this is going to happen, if you don't take your livestock out of the way, then they're going to die. And some people did, and they saved their livestock. Some of them heard the warnings, and I also was thinking when I was doing this, yes, what about the people who came along with the Israelites? Some people came along with them, like children, you know. Okay, now you're going somewhere, take me. They also yielded. I assume, because the text doesn't tell us, but they also lived with the Israelites, and they seem not to have suffered the loss of their loved ones. But just imagine during the nighttime people crying, "Oh, my child, you're dead. Why? Why?" And the answer is because you didn't listen to the Lord. When you talk to people who don't believe in Christ or who say they're spiritual, who isn't spiritual these days? Everybody Everybody's spiritual. I'm a good guy. I believe in spiritual things. And I heard someone say the other day, I believe my cat is spiritual as well. And how cats or dogs are spiritual, I don't know. But everybody's spiritual these days. And everybody says, God cannot be that bad. I try to be good. I try to be good to others. God, at the end, He's going to judge me and say, hey, you were not that bad. Come in to Him. And I said to my friend who was telling me this yesterday, I'm sorry, but that's not what Jesus said. Only through Jesus, only through His blood, only through His sacrifice, we are to go to heaven. Not because of what we do. Only because of what He's done. And in the Exodus, we see God's doing for His people. There is passive recipients of God's redemption. There's passive doers. It's a very contradictory idea, but they're passive doers. Why? Because it's not that I want to do this, Lord, so I can get out of Egypt. No, the Lord tells them what to do to get ready so they can get out of Egypt. So after 430 years, verse 31 and on, the people are getting ready to get out of Egypt. During the night, Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and said, up, lead my people, you and the Israelites. Go worship the Lord as you have requested. Take your flocks and herds as you have said, and go. And also bless you. By the way, don't forget me. I'm a good guy now. I'm sending you over. I'm finally yielding to what you have asked me. That's what he's saying. Up and go. So they were leaving Egypt in the middle of the night. Imagine leaving the place where you were born in the middle of the night. Some of my people have done that. My uncles left in the middle of the night because the next day they were going to be killed. And the soldiers did go to their house, and when we went to see the house, it was all broken. They have to leave, and they have to buy new clothes, and they have to get out, or else they will be killed. So if you have experienced this, put yourself in their shoes. So 430 years comes to an end, to an abrupt end. Everything ends in a couple of hours. Isn't that amazing? You've been oppressed the last 80 years. Because you know, when Moses was baby, that's when the oppression started. And then when Moses came back to Egypt, he was around 80 years. So the oppression has been going for 80 years. Some people don't know anything apart from oppression. And suddenly, up, go. You're out of here. It's a moment's notice that they get this news that you are going out, you are going to freedom. After 430 years, I believe that some Israelites may have grown accustomed to living in Egypt. Remember in the desert? They long for Egypt's onions. And I hate onion, but I don't know how you can long for onion. But they long for it. Oh, we should have died in Egypt. Why did you bring us to this desert? But in Egypt you were oppressed. In Egypt you were looked down upon. In Egypt you were a slave. Why do you long for this place? If I were a Christian, I could be able to do this or that. I heard some Christians saying that. If I were a Christian,